أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to Tuesday night program, Dua Tawassul. Inshallah, we'll start with the recitation of Dua. For that, I'll request Brother Ghulam Haider to start us off. Bismillah, Haider bhai.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله، يا إمام الرحمة، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين، يا علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد، يا قرة عين الرسول، يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله، اشفعي لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي يا أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين، يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها القاسم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
أحسنتم جزاكم الله. Thank you very much, Hadabai, for the recitation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your adiyah and give you reward for each and every single word that was recited. Let's remember all of those people who are in need of dua on this night, Tuesday night, when we recite this dua, Tawassul, doing Tawassul to Ma'asumin alayhim salatu wassalam, in order to bring an end to all the struggles and the troubles that people are going through, struggling, whether it's physically, financially, or spiritually. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them shifa ajil wa kamil, inshallah. Let's recite this ayat from Surah Naml together 5 times. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 وَيَجْعَلُكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ الْأَرْضِ أَإِلَٰهٌ مَّعَ اللَّهِ قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Also, let's recite a Surah Fatiha for all of our deceased marhumin, those who are no longer with us, whether community members, family members, and especially the lady whom we had buried earlier today, Sister Malika Bano, also known as Malika Baltistani, Binte Haji Ali. Please remember her in your Surah Fatiha as well. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Maliki yawmiddin iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Also, this is the first night after her burial, so namaz-e washat qabr for the family members and namaz hadiya mayyit for everyone else is also recommended tonight. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد كان من دعائه عليه الصلاة والسلام على حملة العرش وكل ملك مقرب. وقال علي بن الحسين عليهم الصلاة والسلام اللهم وحملة عرشك الذين لا يفترون من تسبيحك ولا يسأمون من تقديسك ولا يستحسرون من عبادتك ولا يؤثرون التقصير على الجد في أمرك ولا يغفلون عن الوله إليك. This is the third dua of Sahifa Sajjadiyyah that we are starting. Alhamdulillah, we've been able to cover, of course, with brevity, not with too much, elaboration and tafsir. The discussion about the first two du'as and the tafsir and the tashri of the first two du'as. So tonight, inshallah, we'll start with the third du'a. In this third du'a, I recited this first segment for you, in which Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, after praising God Almighty, and then having praised his messenger, the beloved Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Imam then talks about Hamalatu Arshillah, the bearers of the throne, those who are, as we refer to them, as the one who are bearers of the the wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. There are many other aspects of their life or their creation that Imam alayhi highlights. So I won't be able to get into too many of these segments, maybe just the first 5. Therefore, we can establish the discussion tonight, and inshallah we'll get into these segments as Imam alayhi mentions. In this dua, Imam talks about various topics about the angels. You might have studied different books, various books about angels, or if it's your interest, you might have researched it. But this is as thorough as it gets. If you're looking for information in its brevity, in being very concise and not a lengthy dissertation, this is the where to turn to. And of course, at the same time, being very, very precise. So Imam talks about the creation of Allah's, this makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is nuri, which is ghaibi, which is malakuti, that they are a creation which, of course, do not possess the body like you and I do. So this is nur. They're ghaibi because they bring the news of the ghaib to us. And they're malakuti because they have access to the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are known as the malaika. There are nearly 90 ayat in Quran that give us news about the angels, and various different aspects of the angels are mentioned. When you look at the first segment that I recited for you here, Imam begins by saying that, "O Allah, as for the bearers of your throne," Hamilan Arsh is a istilah which is being used over here. Hamalat al-Arsh has appeared in other du'as as well. That those who are not weak or lazy in doing your tasbih, الَّذِينَ لَا يَفْتُرُونَ مِن تَسْبِيحِكَ. So that we can translate the word yafturun as those who are not slow or weak or lethargic. So when we see the signs of us getting tired when we are doing the tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or anything for that matter, you might have to push your children to do salat, and you get the attitude of as if they're so tired that they can't pray. I guess that comes with everything that you want them to do. They'll show the same sign of, being tired and lethargic. And this is the case with us as well, that we sometimes also become weak as far as our worship or tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is concerned. Imam is saying, oh Allah, these angels of yours, they never get tired of doing your tasbih. They never become weary of calling you holy. They never tire of worshiping you. They never prefer or give tarjih or rujhan to anything except that which you have commanded them to do so. So if your command is to do this, that's their first priority. And they're never heedless of passionate love for you. And that is also very important. The love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Imam, when he speaks about the angels, and the reference is made to Quran in the very first segment, when Imam says, La yafturuna min tasbih. When we refer to Quran, and there's of course a lot of discussion in Quran about the angels, there are 5 elements of Iman. So if Iman could be counted, and there are 5 elements of Iman, you have the usul and you have the furu'. And then there are things which are part of your faith and belief system, that which you must believe upon. So the 5 elements of Iman, that Book of Allah considers Iman to be a combination of these 5 things. In an event when a person believes in less than these 5 things, his Iman is incomplete. What are those 5 things? I'll refer you to verse number 177 from Surah Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَيْسَ الْبِرُّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ. That's number 1. Righteous is not when you turn your faces toward the east or the west, but true righteousness is in one who man amana billahi, believes in Allah, wal yawmil akhir, and the last day, which is the day of judgment, wal malaikati, and the angels, wal kutubi, the books, wal nabiyyin, and the prophets. So Surah Baqarah, verse number 177, gives us these 5 which are part of our Iman, because the ayat says, man amana billahi, whoever believes in Allah, Yawm al-Akhir, Malaika, Kitab, and Nabi. So the belief in all these 5 is part of our faith. And if you pay attention to this verse, with an insight, we can understand that bringing Iman onto the Malak or the Malaika is amongst the realities that is part of the beliefs. Now you might not read it in the usul, tawheed, adl, nubuwwat, imamat, and qiyamat. Those are the usul din. But there are things which are part of your faith, and denying those is also exiting the realm of the religion and faith. And amongst them is what is being counted here in the ayat of Surah Baqarah. So amongst the realities that is part of the faith, hence denying the angels, or even one angel for that matter, is equal to kufr. That means lacking faith. That means not having faith, which of course then entails the wrath of Allah. Kufr and denying the angels is separately discussed in other ayat of Quran. For example, it says, Man kana aduwan lillahi wa malaikatihi wa rusulihi wa jibrila wa mikala fa inna allaha aduwwul lil kafirin. This is Surah Baqarah, verse number 98. So the first one was 177 of Baqarah. This is 98 of Surah Baqarah. Whoever is an enemy to Allah and his angels and his messengers, and then separating from the angels whom? Jibreel and Mikael. Let me share the slides again. Sorry about that. So the first segment of Imam doesn't mention any of the angels. But in the second, Imam mentions Israfil, he mentions Mikail, and then he mentions Jibreel al-Amin. So Imam says what? He says, Israfil, the owner of the trumpet, Mikail, the possessor, and the possessor of a standing with you and a raised up place in your obedience. وَجِبْرَائِيلَ الْأَمِينَ عَلَى وَحْيِكَ, Gabriel entrusted with your revelation, obeyed by the inhabitants of the heaven, distinguished in your presence, and amongst the muqarrab, the one who's near you, the closest to you. So in this ayat also of 98 of Baqarah, it says, whoever is an enemy to Allah and his angels and his messengers, and then separating whom? Jibreel and Mikail, then indeed Allah is an enemy to the disbelievers. So Surah Baqarah 98 highlights two important angels. First of all, says all of those who are enemies of Allah and his messengers and his angels, and then separately mentioning Jibreel Amin and Hazrat Mikail. He says, then Allah is indeed an enemy of these disbelievers. Another place also highlighting the importance of not believing in the angels. It says, وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِاللَّهِ وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ وَكُتُبِهِ وَرُسُلِهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالًا بَعِيدًا. Surah Nisa 136 says, and whoever disbelieves in Allah, his angels, his books, his messengers, and the last day has certainly gone far astray. Again, the five necessities or the compound elements of Iman. What are these five elements of Iman? Allah, the angels, the books, the messengers, and the last day. This is in Surah Nisa 136. So that's as far as a description of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken about the angels in the Quran. And therefore Imam, being inspired with these ayats, mentions similar sentiments in his dua, and then taking it further and further elaborating for us. So having animosity toward these angels or belittling them is not believing in them. Second is as far as the angels and bearing witness over Tawheed. Imam also he categorized it as, if you look at it, كان من دعائه عليه السلام على حملة العرش وكل ملك مقرب. These angels who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then their closeness due to their ranks. And when it comes to Jibreel Amin, who is the closest, it says the spirit who is over the angels of the veils, and the spirit who is of thy command, bless them, and the angels below them, the residents in thy heavens, those entrusted with thy message. So when speaking about Ruhul Amin, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, and then separating, so there's a discussion, inshallah, I'll get into that next week, regarding Hazrat Jibreel and Ruh. Are they the same or is it separate? Difference, as in Surah إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالرُّوحُ. So the discussion of Ruh, that the descent of Malaika and the Ruh, is it same or they're different? But as far as the angels are concerned, they're the ones who are bearing witness over the Tawheed of Allah as well. The angels are a creation of Allah that is highly knowledgeable, aware, awake, and amongst you, Urafa, Arif Billah, which bears witness about the reality of Allah and His oneness and His Tawheed in all their existence. So again, ayat of Quran is manifesting this. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط. Allah witnesses that there is no deity except Him, and so do the angels and those of knowledge. So Allah is one bearing witness that there's no God except Him. وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ, malaika are bearing witness, وَأُولُو الْعِلْمِ, and those who are the possessors of knowledge. As far as the ibadat of angels is concerned, it says, وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ مِنْ خِيفَتِهِ. Surah Ra'd, ayat number 13 says, and the thunder exalts Allah with praise of Him. So when you hear the lightning, when you hear the thunder, it's exalting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with praise of Him. And the angels as well exalt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do the tasbih. In fact, there are many ayat which are about the tasbih of the malaika, which could be directly or indirectly referred to the angels. So I won't go in too much explanation of that. Just one more ayat in this regard. It says, وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. That the angels exalt Allah with praise of their Lord and ask forgiveness for those on earth. So that's another thing. The wujud of these malaika becomes what? Becomes a rahmat for us, that they are praying for us. They're asking for our forgiveness. So, few topics that discussed the elements of Iman, the angels bearing witness over the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, them being their ibadat, as I said, it's mentioned on many ayats of Quran. وَجَعَلُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ, that angels that are considered to be the Ibad al-Rahman, there are du'as that are mentioned in Quran which are associated with the angels, that the angels are the one making dua. Then the help of the malaika, that their purpose of creation and their service to mankind, how they were sent in areas and places in times of musibat upon people and the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they provided that much needed help and the support. Ghaibi madad, or the help from the unseen, as mentioned in Surah, in regards to Battle of Badr, rather, not in Surah, in Battle of Badr, إِذْ تَقُولُ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, Surah Baqarah and Al Imran highlight on these ayat that when mu'mineen, it was told mu'mineen that أَلَنْ يَكْفِيَكُمْ أَنْ يُمِدَّكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ بِثَلَاثَةِ آلَافٍ مَلَائِكَةٍ مُنْزِلِينَ. That will be enough that if Allah was to inform you that you will be helped by 3,000 angels, which will come down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So mu'mineen were informed of that. Is it not enough that Allah will send 3,000 angels to you? And if you show more and more patience, then Allah will increase that number for you. So the story of how in Battle of Badr, there were angels that were helping. Another aspect of the angels, which is, of course, they are hamilane wahi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yunazzilul malaikatu birruhi min amrihi ala man yasha'u min ibadih. That the angels with the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, along with ruh, as I said, I'll mention that inshallah next week. They come to as whomever amongst the ibad and the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as they wish. It says, ala man yasha'u min ibadihi. Of course, the word ibad over here refers to the prophets, but the ayat is very clear about it. And then the angel that comes at the time of death, alladhina tatawaffahumul malaikatu, or those who are at the brink of death, the malaika that come near, and other discussions in this reference. It's a very vast topic, and Imam undertakes this topic, and I think it's a very interesting one. Inshallah, we'll highlight more in the coming weeks. Of course, we don't want to go too much over our time, so that we can keep the discussion brief and fresh, so that there's interest in it, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a tawfiq and ability to ponder over these first few segments of the third dua from Sahifa Sajjadiyyah, from the kalam of our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam. Akhiru da'wana, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Mutawajjih ziyarat. Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah, assalamu alaikum ya Habib Allah, assalamu alaikum ya Khiyarat Allah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Abdullah, assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa ala jaddika wa abik wa ala ummika wa akhik wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وعنيس النفوس، أيها المدفون بأرض طوسلي بن موسى الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, Thursday night program, Shabbat program, will be at 7:30. You might have seen the email. Registration is not needed, so all are welcome to come and join us for that program. Of all ages. Previously, there was a restriction about kids under the age of 9, and we will come out with, inshallah, more instructions regarding this. So do make good use of this opportunity that finally we are coming toward normalcy in our lives, and inshallah masjid, which has been functioning and been open throughout the month of Ramadan as well as prior to that, and Salatul Jummah was being done with restrictions, and will continue to tread carefully as we move forward with reopening of masjid and inshallah the events following these relaxation that we had from the government and CDC as well. So inshallah, we look forward to seeing you